Hey, how you doing? This is Milan Smith, and I'm with Joe Byers, and we're doing the Kookville podcast for this month. We basically, what we do is we talk a little bit about the TV show Kookville that we're trying to get off the ground, talk a little bit about the news, and then we just see where the conversation takes us. I guess first thing I want to do is just tell you where we're at. As far as Kookville, what we're trying to do right now is get our episodes edited and then get them into Film Hub, where we hope Film Hub will then send it off to Tubi and other streamers. We've got 3 that are almost ready to go. We sent the first 3 out. We got it kicked back at us for some minor technical issues. One of them has already come back to us. We've got 2 more almost ready to go, and we're going to send it back out, hopefully within the week. Then we have 7 more episodes that have been shot and are in various levels of edit. What we're also trying to do is we are trying to prepare for season 2. And this is a little bit difficult because the situation that we're in right now is we're trying to edit and market season 1. But we can't wait forever to do season 2 because then you lose your actors. They move away or get involved in other projects. So we're hoping to start shooting season 2 in January of 2027. A lot longer out than I was hoping for, but this is the problem with, small, low to no budget independent films. Unfortunately, everything takes 3 times as long, when you have little to no budget. But anyway, we have our old characters coming back, and we have a couple of new characters. One of them is called Pickle Joe, and there's a good reason that he has that name. You can probably guess why, just by the name. And he ends up getting in trouble for it. He's working for the Stuck Pig. The Stuck Pig is the bar where everyone kind of hangs out. We have a lot of problems. Joe and I have talked about this on the podcast before. Production problems. And I'm not sure what kind of production problems we're going to have coming up. It's probably going to be more of the same. I don't foresee anything particularly new or unusual. What about you, Joe? Probably pretty much the same old thing, right?
You've done the things that you've done. You did a movie before you started all this TV show stuff. At least the movie was before the TV show. I don't know. Was it before the webcast?
Oh, the web series. Well, we did the web series in 2020 and early 2021 of Kookville. And then the movie that Joe's talking about is The Nightlings, which we've been shot and we've got it mostly edited. Unfortunately, again, low budget independent, everything takes a lot longer. But we did that before we started shooting the TV show.
One of the things that I liked about the movie was that you found locations and then wrote to them rather than writing the script and then trying to find the locations to fit. That's kind of one of those hard necessities for the budget, is that you find places that you can shoot and then adjust your script to that, as opposed to we've got a budget, we need an 1800s church somewhere, so that goes in the script, and then we start trying to locate that. Well, that was not necessarily the best way to go about it at our monetary level. So
no, it isn't.
I have been I've been impressed with your ability to write your stuff to what's available.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, necessity, I guess. We simply didn't. If you had a $50 million budget, you write what you want, and then you send out the location scouts to find what you need, or in some cases, to make what you need. But that wasn't really an option, But we did do it. Go ahead.
No, after you.
No, I already forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, suffice to say that if you approach it from the right standpoint, you'll look around, see what you can find, and then see how to work that into what you're doing. It's happy accident kind of a thing. It's not exactly an accident, but it is kind of you find what you need, and then you adjust the script to go along with that.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, I think any low budget operation has to work that way. In any town you live in, you've got interesting things that you can rely on. Buildings, whatever landmarks you have, just use them. And that could be a great feature of your movie. And, using that uniqueness that maybe no one else knows about. If you try to do something about Washington, D.C., everybody knows about all the major landmarks you see in movies. But no one, if you live in a smaller town, even a small city, probably no one knows about most of the little landmarks that you have there. That gives your movie something unique to lean on. I don't think people think like that sometimes.
Yeah,
they don't realize that. They don't realize what they have in their own backyard.
Sometimes I think that it might be a problem for creative people that they're not constrained by reality. I mean, you are, after all, creating an entire little universe out of nothing. But that's in the script. When it comes time to make it happen, then it's a whole different thing. Then that's where it comes down to the nut cut. You've got to face reality.
Yes. Well, we've been able to be a very what's the word I'm looking for? Flexible, and it's worked out for us so far. Hopefully, it'll continue to do so. Some of the locations that we've used, I hope we get to use again, like the church for the offices. I was kind of worried about it at first. For those of you who don't know, we have the newspaper offices of the the Oches County Press Gazette was originally going to be in the Sanger. We lost that, but we got a hold of the church offices, or not necessarily even the offices. One's a broom closet, basically. And we were able to turn that into, the broom closet became Dominic's office. And we were able to, turn these into, pretty good newspaper offices. They look pretty good. I was really happy with what we came out with. I hope we can use it again and through the entire run of the show. We hope to do 5 seasons of this. And I'd like to keep that kind of consistency if possible.
What's interesting for us is that the newspaper office has I guess you would say, a reception area, a front office, and that's in one building that's downtown Pensacola, and then the rest of the newspaper offices are in the church that Milan just mentioned on the west side of town. So you see somebody walk in the door and walk down the hall, and they've really done that in 2 locations. I mean, lots of movies do that. Part of a building in one location and another part of a building in another location. But it's just, when you actually do it, it's kind of cool to watch and think that, people would think this is all one office, but it's really 2 different buildings.
Yeah. And we did that out of necessity. Most of the exterior locations are in Milton. What I tell people is the Plainville or Kookville isn't Milton, but it looks a lot like downtown Milton.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that. So we've done a lot of shooting down there, and I hope to do a lot more shooting down there. And I'd like to get some interiors over there as well, if possible. We've talked to the people from the City Hall in Milton about using their offices for some future episodes. And they're pretty accommodating. They're pretty nice about it. So hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, I would say one thing that we have been very lucky on is how many, and you'll pardon my black strike, but is how many different locations when we've been able to use just because of the good graces of the people in this town. Our bar, the Stuck Pig, it's a little place in town called the Wisteria, and they have been so accommodating to us. And
Yeah.
you walk inside of this place and it looks exactly like it ought to look. That was the thing that when Milan and I were looking for a location to shoot the bar scenes in, I had actually at that point, I'd never been in the Wisteria, but I'd gone by it. It's been there since the 20s. And so I looked them up online and looked at their photographs that they had on their website. And the photographs looked exactly like what we were looking for.
Yeah.
But what are the odds we're going to actually be able to get someone to cooperate with us and let us use their place? And they did that in spades. They have been so helpful. And the St. John's Episcopal Church has been so accommodating. And other places. We used a cemetery in a little town called Baghdad in West Florida, not in Iraq, but we used the cemetery there, and it's an old cemetery. They were so accommodating. It's just been a bunch of things like that without the good graces of some of the townsfolk in this area, we wouldn't have been able to pull off what we've been able to pull off.
We're talking about the Baghdad graveyard. I should say cemetery. There's a guy over there named David Bailey, who was actually on the board of that, who let us, him and his wife Lucy, let us use their home for the home of Wilhelmina Flannelly. Wilhelmina is the 100-year-old woman. She just barely turned 100, and she is a nymphomaniac and hits on Dominic. But their house had that kind of that old Southern genteel feel to it. It was fantastic. It was perfect for Wilhelmina.
Perfect.
Oh, here, let me get a little shout out or a little nudge for their I guess you call it tea house, Miss Lucy's Tea Room in Baghdad. It looks and feels like a Victorian era tea room. I went there one time. You get these like cakes and teas, and everyone who goes in is all dressed up. I was there one time, and it was like all women, and then me.
Well, you're a little iffy.
It was kind of funny. I mean, I was the only guy there, but it really felt like you were back in the 1890s,
Cool.
Sipping tea in England or something like that. It was kind of fun. But Miss
Really
Lucy's, huh?
Really good folk.
Yes, really good. They really helped us out. So really appreciate that. But we have some new characters and 10 new stories that I've written. And like I said, we're hoping to be shooting that in a little over 8.5 months from now. We also want to do some sketches. I won't talk too much about that, but very briefly. On our social media, we've been doing a lot of BTS, thanks to our social media maven, Stephanie, who took a lot of BTS videos while we were shooting and putting them on.
If you don't know what it is, BTS is behind the scenes footage.
Right. And what we're going to try to do is some sketches now, like little 90-second sketches. We're going to start off with some clips from the web series, and we got some sketches that we've been shooting over the last few months, and hopefully give people a little taste of what we're doing before the actual TV show comes out. So that'll be coming out really soon.
Yeah, and the sketches they're a lot of fun. Technically the show is any particular episode is a pretty big chunk to bite off. It's a lot of work that has to be done. The sketches are much shorter, they're much simpler, and in some respects they're even more fun because you don't feel like you're having to trade body parts to get something done. So I'm enjoying them.
Yeah, we should say that several of them have been written by Joe. The Snappers with the Skunk Ape Boys, him and Uncle Dobby. No, Dubby? Uncle Dubby.
Dub.
They tell tall tales. And sucker Dominic.
We speak absolute truth that sounds like a tall tale. That's my character.
I stand corrected. But that will be coming out very soon as well. We're trying to keep this going, this train rolling. But that was the main. That's the main news for Kookville for this month. So I thought we would do, before we go on talking about other things, I'd like to. We have found that we have people listening to this podcast around the world. Not a whole lot of people, but we have some. And the biggest foreign watchers are from the Congo. So we thought we'd give a shout out to the Congo. So hello to the Congolese people. And in Swahili, habari kwa watu wa Congo. I know I probably massacred that, and I apologize. In French, bonjour, all people Congolais. I know I screwed that up.
Better you than me.
Probably got a lot of French people from the Congo cussing me out right now. I apologize. Anyway, so we'd like to do, after we start talking about the news of Kookville, we start talking about the business in general for the time we have left. And one of the things we were talking about actually before we started recording this was, why does Hollywood constantly do sequels and reboots? You know, one of the things I found really interesting is Spider-Man. Whenever they do a reboot of Spider-Man, they always do the origin story. And they usually do that for Batman as well. And it's like, do we really need an origin story every 5 or 10 years? Can't you just find something else? Yeah. I mean, I think it's just kind of redundant.
We were talking, and my point is that I don't think that Hollywood is bereft of ideas, because I think there are plenty of very creative people in this nation. Lots of them out there, lots of them doing their own thing. That has to apply to Hollywood as well. And yet it seems like they rely on sequel after sequel and then a reboot. Like the Spider-Man you mentioned, isn't that on its 3rd iteration now, or going into its 4th, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Over the last, 15 years?
It's not
maybe 20?
Not just sequels, it's complete retooling and rebooting the thing with all new actors. Yeah. And it just seems like there ought to be more stuff out there that's brand new or hasn't been done in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess what it is if you have the money, you don't want to take chances, so you just do the same thing over and over again. And if you have new ideas, you don't have the money, and so you have to do low-budget shows or movies that don't get a lot of reach because you don't have the marketing or the production values to attract a large audience.
You know, I watch a fair amount of bad movies. And I'm using bad there. I don't mean it to be pejorative. I would say maybe more likely a lot of low budget films, not necessarily bad films, although they probably are demonstratively bad. But I will say this about them. They all seem to have, even the worst of them, have some kind of heart. It have people there that are they're having to do the same amount of work as a big budget film. You have to do multiple takes. Well, sometimes they don't have enough money. In the old days when they were shooting film, they couldn't afford the film, so they would only do one take or maybe 2 at the most. But by and large, the same kind of restrictions on Hollywood exist with them, and they all seem to have some heart to them. So for all their, what would you call it, amateurishness sometimes it's bad writing in the scripts. I find most of them have something there that I can watch and be appreciative of. Even if they're bad, just bad. There's still something there a lot of times. Sometimes they're so bad that they're almost surreal. You know, it's like you set out to make a surreal movie, and okay, maybe you didn't, but that's what you ended up with. I've mentioned Frankenstein Island before here. It is just truly bizarre film. It's bizarre. It's surreal, and I don't really think that the guy that created it was intending it to be surreal, but that's what he ended up with. It's like if Salvador Dali set out to do a regular painting and ended up with a bunch of melted clocks, and we all said, boy, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen. What a surreal masterpiece that is. And Dali's off to the side going, okay, I'll live with that. That film in particular is like that, but there's many others that they are so bad they have a surreal quality to them, and to me that's entertaining. It's much more entertaining than the latest Marvel bloated production is got going for it.
Yeah, I think a big part of the problem with the Marvel movies these days, they often shoot with only a partial script. And what they do is they shoot a lot of stuff, do some improving, get a lot of different angles, and then put it together in post. I was very.
That's kind of like a wrestle with the boat, isn't it?
It's to me, it's a scary way to make a movie.
Yes.
I prefer what is called the intentional way, where you have a script, you shoot the shots you think you need. If you have time, you maybe experiment a little bit, but you hit what you need and you get out. Of course, at our level, we don't really have much of a choice. It's very hard to do like what they do, because we don't have the time. We don't have the luxury of just spending hours and hours and hours or days on random scenes and coming up with all kinds of crazy improv stuff. We need to get in, we need to hit it and get out, because a lot of our locations, we have a very limited time period. But maybe one day we can just say, hey, we're just going to do this scene purely through improv. But we tried that one time, and it didn't work for one of the web series episodes. Remember that?
No. Was I there?
I believe you were the director of that.
Uh-oh.
And the woman that we were shooting with, remember, this is a comedy. Kookville is a sitcom, and the web series was, sitcom flavor. Sitcom in 6 minutes, you might say. And the woman I was playing off, I would said, hey, I know what you're up to. And she turns around, gets on the phone, and says in the most dark manner, he knows. And it sounded like my character was going to be end up buried in the backwoods somewhere. And we said,
you found yourself.
Lighten it up. Yeah, exactly. And I said, let's lighten this up. Let's go in a different direction. We did it again. She went right back to the same thing. She just wasn't able to get out of the idea that poor Dominic is going to end up in a ditch somewhere. So, you got to have people that either have the training or the natural talent for improv. Or maybe if you just worked with them for a long time. Maybe that's something we could do. That's actually an interesting idea. Maybe we can do a whole episode by improv if we just get a small group of people and we just make them practice improv.
I wouldn't want to try that sober.
Well, then get drunk before.
That's scary.
Yeah, it would be terrifying, but it'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's your 11th episode, the one that you didn't write down. You did it as an improv thing, with the idea that if this whole thing goes off the rails, crashes and burns, you've not lost anything.
Right. Right. Yeah, I should see if I can find that the original web that stuff where it went kind of dark. That might be funny to put out, Yeah.
I don't know. They just find that a little scary. Not the improv stuff, because we've done that a few times on the shorts that we've worked on. We've done improv a couple of times. And it worked pretty well. Not every last bit of it, but take some chunks out of it was pretty good. But then that's pretty low stakes, because you're doing a short, and if it doesn't work, you haven't built that as one of an integral part of a series. So you can just kind of let your freak flag fly for that.
Yes.
And then
yes. Well, I'm like, for what Joe's talking about, I sat there and I asked the Skunk Ape boys, what was one of the questions? How do you wash a rattlesnake? I think was one of them. I'm having connectivity issues on this thing right now. Are you having problems? You are. It's probably going to be another problem like that one time in a second. I'm not sure what to do here, Joe. Can you connect again? We had a connectivity issue. I'm thinking we're going to have connectivity issues all the way through this episode. I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll find out after this is over. Are you able to connect? Okay. Well, our time is almost up anyway, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and shut this down. And when we come back next time, we're going to talk a little bit about laugh tracks and why they were invented by the devil. Thank you very much for sitting in, and see you next time.